Hello, everyone. Again, it's Del Bernard from Transition Clarity, and here's another awesome, authentic conversation. I can't believe we're already on episode 38. And today, my guest is Joel Salomon. He's a prosperity coach who helps others overcome obstacles standing in the way of their financial freedom. In 2002, Joel published personal money management bestseller, Infinite Love and Money with Molly Singh. In 2019, Joel published the 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, Only the Unconventional Ones, which is the bestseller in both self help and personal finance. In 2018, he published Mindful Money Management, Memoirs of a Hedge Fund Manager, which also was a bestseller. Joel is an award winning TEDx speaker and fluent podcast guest. He has led over 20 workshops teaching the concepts of how to overcome limiting beliefs. He has spoken at numerous Rotary and Lion clubs in the New York metropolitan area and at Mercy's College MBA program, as well as at Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibility Training Conference in York, in New Orleans in March of 2018 and again in 2021. He led workshops at the Girls Scouts of America Conference in Connecticut and in 2019 and 2022, as well as the Boys and Girls Club of Stamford, Connecticut. In 2018 and 2019, he appeared on TV with CEO Money in Between the Covers. He also has been a guest on more than 100 podcasts, including Talk Radio NYC, Westchester Talk Radio, Voice America, Redesigning Your Life with Sabrina Soto, Going Solo, Smashing the Plateaus, The Masters of the Heart. Every day is a new day show. Thrive Loud, award winning Nice Guy podcast, Financial Survival Networks, and Think, Believe, Manifest Joel. Has also been quoted on Wall Street Journal, Newsday, U.S. News and World Report, and interviewed in Forbes and the Bloomberg Radio. In 2012, he achieved the decades long dream with the launch of his own hedge fund, SaLaurMor Capital, named after his 2 daughters, Lauren and Morgan. Financial experts, including managing 700 million long and short equity and credit portfolios for Citi. It generated positive returns every year during the time at Citi, including 2008 when the market suffered 40% losses in financial stocks. The only one he was managing collapsed 57%. In 2022, Joel created a nonprofit organization, SaLorn Charitable Giving, Inc., to teach financial literacy to kids under 18 in the U.S. He has been a chartered financial analyst since 1995, and in 1992, he was named a Fellow of the Society of Actuaries. He is also an advanced communicator, Gold Toastmaster, and certified Infinite Possibilities trainer and trailblazers. When not helping others achieve their financial dreams, he enjoys table tennis, bowling, and skiing. He is also an avid traveler and has visited 60 countries and 6 continents. Wow, what a resume. With that, let's invite Joel to the show. And here he is, Joel, to the show of Authentic Conversations. Welcome.
Thank you, Adele, for having me. It's such an honor and pleasure to be here today. I really appreciate you.
Awesome. So let's start with a little background on who's little Joel. How did you become you to where you are now and all these accolades that you've gained over the years? Like, how did you decide to do what you're doing?
Well, I say everyone has a dream and usually have multiple dreams.
Mhm.
If you would ask me what my dream was when I was 9 years old, I would have said catcher for the New York Yankees. I was a big fan of Thurman Munson and I loved to play baseball. And a few years later, I realized I had a hard time hitting the fastball, and the curveball was even tougher. So if you'd asked me when I was 12 years old, I would have said statistician for the New York Yankees because I enjoyed math. I was good with numbers. And that stayed my dream for a number of years until I was in college and I realized that I really enjoyed investing. And so if you had asked me when I was 21, 22, 23, what's your dream? I would have said managing other people's money. But I didn't go for that in college. I got a degree in math. And so I took a job as an actuary. And you may or may not know the difference between an actuary and an accountant, Adele. I say an actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you, an accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you. So
So you've had to kind of grow out of your shell a bit.
exactly. Yeah.
That's funny.
Actuaries are the ones behind the scenes calculating the premium you have to pay for your insurance policy. So I did that for a
Oh,
number of years, did a lot of mathematical calculations, programming, coding, and my dream was still there. I still had this dream and I really wasn't enjoying my day. But my evenings and weekends were full of fun analyzing and investing in stocks. And I said to myself, if I could ever align my hobby and my career, it wouldn't be work, it'd be fun.
yeah.
And so I went on a journey to align my hobby and my career. And I reached out to many actuaries on Wall Street who gave me one thing: massive doubt. Joel, you can't do this. You don't have the degrees. You don't have the experience. Forget it. Just be an actuary. You're doing fine. I didn't want to give up on that dream. And I finally found one guy who told me his path. And I followed it mostly. And 15 years later, I was working at Citigroup as a hedge fund manager. I had achieved my first, second, third dream.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2008. You may remember 2008 was not the best year in the stock market. The overall stock market here in the US was down 40%. Financial companies were down 57%. And I managed to make a small little bit of money. It was the first time I actually had a job where I got paid for my performance. So I didn't get paid too much.
Yeah.
But the next year was better. And the next year was quite good as well. And I actually might still be there today, but there was a law that passed that said banks can't own hedge funds in the US. And so we were all laid off, which gave me the kick in the butt to start my own hedge fund, which was named after my daughters, and it's the name of my company still today. SaLaurMor, Lore for Lauren, More for Morgan. And so I started my own hedge funds. And in December 2015, I went to a personal development course, and two things happened there that completely changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, we had a guy who was a guest speaker for 1 hour speaking about stock options as the only way to get rich. He said, you don't need much time, you don't need much money. This is how the rich people get rich. Options are essentially risk-free, and I was sick to my stomach. It was day 2 of the conference. I had people tapping me on the shoulder, whispering in my ear, Joel, does this make sense? Are options really risk-free? So after he was done, we went out of the auditorium. I told him, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually. And most importantly, no idea about your belief that you could become rich using options. Now, the second thing that happened at that personal development course was we were given a wooden board 2 inches thick, and we were told we're going to break it with our bare hand. The exercise was called Obstacles Are Illusions.
Yep.
A lot of fear in the room.
Yep.
And
Been in
on
many
one,
of those rooms.
yes. So on one side of the board, we had to write our biggest obstacle, and then on the other side, our ultimate goal, which stumped me for a while, and then it hit me. Make everyone in this room financially free. Make everyone in this room financially free. And I broke that board like everyone else did that day. Went home that night and couldn't sleep. First, the guy was in my head. And I realized if I could ever get up the courage to speak on a stage in front of 200 people, I could be authentic, not lie to them, and be of service. And then the second thing going on in my head at 3:34 in the morning was that wooden board staring back at me from across the room, actually half of it. Make everyone in this room financially free. And I think it hit me at 4:30. I jumped out of bed. I quickly got dressed. I commuted into Manhattan, and I was at my office in Midtown Manhattan, 54th and 6th Avenue before the sun rose. And I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my true purpose in life.
Wow, that's
What I'm
incredible.
doing right now.
Well, and I've been in those rooms with those boards and arrows and whatever other tool they'd like to use. And it's really funny because it gave you different insights to money. It also, like as you experienced, just because you're on a stage doesn't mean it's truth. They just might have a louder voice.
Right.
And 3, they have just as many hangups as you do. They're just better at hiding them. Right? Because being in those rooms and being behind those rooms, 2 different ball games. Right? Been both sides. And it's like, is this my path? Absolutely not. Do I like everyone I met there? Absolutely. Do I have a lot of them still as my friends? Absolutely. Um, but we all have our trials, right? And this illusion of money, and I say that wholeheartedly, right? Because
Yeah.
it's an illusion,
Yeah.
right? So whether you're paying in the olden days a chicken for some eggs or whatever, you're paying in some way, fashion of thank you for your service or thank you for your help. Here's some help in kind, right? Where do you think the biggest hurdle is getting over the mind for the money?
Yeah, the mindset is really critical. And that's my foundation for everyone I teach.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have the right mindset and you want to learn about my 5-step proprietary stock screen, you want to learn about real estate investing or crypto or bonds, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nope, we're going to teach this first. Because if you don't have a good foundation, a strong foundation, you're going to collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the mindset is so important. And unless you were brought up in a castle, I think, and I wasn't, you're taught certain things about money that just aren't true. They are limiting beliefs generally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was taught growing up, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's too expensive. I got screamed at for leaving the light on in my room. Joel, we're not a shareholder of Long Island Lighting Company. Shut that light off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that all those teachings were teachings of poverty, scarcity, lack,
Mm-hmm.
and not abundance and prosperity. And we've talked before about the fact that there's almost an infinite amount of wealth on this earth, right? $450 trillion, growing to almost $500 trillion in just the last few years. And then there's abundance all around us.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're taught of scarcity and lack. And so that mindset is critical to change because you can't become abundant unless you are abundant.
Mhm.
You're being abundant. You're living abundance,
Mhm.
right? And most people in life, and I will tell you, up until just a few years ago, I was all about do, to have. And I realize now it's more about being. It's be, do, have. If you are
Well,
being abundant, if your mindset is full of abundant thoughts and feelings, you know, if you can pretend more, even if in the physical reality you're not abundant, you spend more time pretending, being abundant. And what I mean by pretending is visualizing, acting as if,
mhm.
right? Acting as if what you want to happen has already happened, doing those affirmations, saying them in the present or past tense, not saying I will be financially free, because you always are talking into the future, right? I allow myself to become financially free if you don't believe it right now, or I am a money magnet. You know, using these techniques to pretend that you are already what you want to be is important.
Yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point about we're busy doing instead of being. And our name isn't human doings. Our name is human beings. And this brings me back to a different point of the abundance is in the presence. And if we're too busy doing, we're not in our bodies, we're not in our presence, so we're in the lack, right? So if
Yes.
we're in the past or we're in the future where none of this stays, we got to bring ourselves to the present where the realization of everything is already here. It's for our realization of being present to know the abundance is exactly who we are,
Yes.
right? And if it doesn't feel like that, then it's a belief, it's a conditioning, it's something that isn't your truth. And it's
Right.
waking
And you
up
can
to that
change.
non-truth. Yeah.
You can absolutely change. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, that just because of their thinking a certain way or doing a certain thing doesn't mean they can't change and be abundant, prosperous in the very near future. And it can change on a dime. And I have people in my Money Miracles membership have manifested $322,000.
Yeah.
So
That's
it can
awesome.
shift really, really quickly. And it's just rule number one in my second book, The 9 Money Rules Millionaires Use, which is when you believe, right? What is your belief? What are your beliefs around money? Do you believe you can be spiritual and rich? Do you believe money grows on trees? Do you believe you have to work really, really hard to be rich and successful? Or do you believe that money can come easily and frequently?
Well,
And
and I want to sit back to like how, because in conversations I thought, well, that's hedge fund info or that's stock market. But like share some of the examples of these beautiful ways that that your members have gained this abundance.
yes. Yeah, and it's important to understand what I mean by money manifestation. So a money manifestation is when a surprise amount of money comes to you. It's not like I've been talking to this potential client for my fast track prosperity coaching for the last 3 months and they signed up. Or I've been talking to this person to join my Money Miracles membership and they signed up. That's not a money manifestation. A money manifestation is, I talked to somebody 2 years ago. They said, Joel, I'm not interested. And then I get a alert, because you can sign up for my Money Miracles membership on my website, that they've joined my Miracles membership today. 2 years later, no conversation. That's a money manifestation. Or you find $5 on the ground,
Mhm.
or you go to the mechanic and they tell you that you have a big problem, it's thousands of dollars. And then they come back to you a few days later and say, don't worry about it, it's all taken care of by the manufacturer. Another example is this guy, the big $322,000 manifestation. That's the largest so far in my Money Miracles membership. This guy worked for a company 22 years ago. He didn't realize that they had given him some options on the stock. It's a public company.
Oh wow.
And he left the company years ago. and he joined my membership because he had gotten laid off from his job, and he was wondering, should I start my own company? Should I go back to corporate life? And I taught him some money manifestation techniques. He chose one that he really connected with, resonated with him, and he started doing it. And 3 weeks into my membership, 3 weeks, he got a call and an email from a lawyer looking for him. And he didn't respond to the email. He wasn't sure if it was real.
Well,
Got the
yeah, I was gonna
call.
say you don't want lawyers just calling you out of the blue.
So he got this call and he answered it. Is this Frank? Yes. Did you work at XYZ company 22 years ago from, 1993 to 1996? Yes. Well, the company was just acquired and you have options that have vested. And we need to send you a check. Is your current address blah, blah, blah? Yes. $322,000.
That is
That's a
sweet.
money manifestation.
Well, especially as like every company I know of, as you're leaving the company, all those stock options are realized at the point of leaving,
Yeah, and sometimes not.
right? And in his case, thankfully not that, and that the law office was persistent in getting a hold of him. Because
Yeah,
and
and
so but this is the hiccup of the system in a way too, because we're so skeptical to answer our phones, to answer those emails, because there are so many AI scams out there that it's like, I don't know if this is true. So in some ways, he didn't get to the point of the registered mail coming, right?
right,
So
right, right.
he at least answered one of them to say, "Are you for real?"
You know what? Here's part, the second part of the conversation of the manifestation is he did get so he was expecting the amount to come, but he thought it'd be coming from the company, right? But actually what happened when the registered mail came with the check, and it came in two pieces actually. It came from a bank. And he normally throws away all the stuff from banks because everything's online these days. He has everything automated. But he got this letter from the bank and he's like, let me take a look. And he decided to open it and it was the first check. But no, he said normally I would have thrown like 9 out of 10 of these things, or 99 out of 100. I just throw them out. Like it's all junk mail. But he happened to like, and what would have happened then? If it hadn't
Well,
been cashed in
yeah,
90 days.
yeah. Well,
So having
and
faith,
so in your conversation too of like, well, do I go back to corporate? Do I start my own thing? Like, how am I gonna like, how do I afford all of this? And his old employer from way back when said, now you have choice. Now
and
you can
and so
choose, right? You
he
have,
created his own company. Yeah.
yeah, you have time to kind of weigh the options, right? And
Yes.
I think that's the biggest thing in entrepreneurship is so many people say, well, it'll be easier to be an entrepreneur, right? I have 3 months in the bank, and ask any entrepreneur if 3 months is enough. Never.
Well,
Never. Right?
I don't like to use the words always and never.
Yeah.
And so like again, it comes back to belief, right? If you believe it's going to be really hard, it can be really hard. And if you believe it can be easy, it can be easy. And
No,
I
and I
I
agree with that, but I'm saying all the books I've read, and they're dating, so the information has changed a bit. They used to say 6 to 9 months just for plain security
right.
of an incident happening, like your car goes down, or right, like whatever, just an incident happening. I would say now have 2 years put away. And that's
So
without
yeah.
starting a business, right? So you can do it in the fashion of ease and grace that you have 2 years. If everything stays the same, you're staying in with inflation, I got 2 years. If I never make a dime in 2 years, I'm still good. I'm not, my family's not in trouble. But do you wait 2 years to make a dime? No. But you know you are covered. And yeah, maybe that's my money belief of the security
Yeah,
blanket,
I was
which
I was
I
gonna
don't
say,
have anyways. So I don't believe in
well,
security blankets.
right. So, there's the famous story about the general that came on the ships to conquer the land. And after all the ships embarked, all the people from the ships, they got onto the beach, and he set fire to all the ships. And he said, "Soldiers, you have no escape. You have one choice. There's only plan A. You win or you perish." And if you go in with that attitude for your business, you will win.
Hmm.
You have no choice. And I will say, when you're doing your purpose, my latest book is called Purpose and Prosperity. It'll be out in 2025. And when you're on purpose, you're serving and you're doing your what you truly believe is your dream, which I truly believe. My mission is to help at least 100,000 people become financially free. And I know when I help somebody, gift somebody a session, that I'm not doing it because other people will be served. I'm focused on that person, but I know when I'm gifting that person that there's so much more that's coming my way. Rule number 6 in the 9 money rules is giving. And so the point is, when you're on purpose, you're doing your passion and you're serving, burn the ships, go for it.
Hmm.
Believe in yourself. I believe in you. I want you to believe in yourself as much as I believe in you, and know that you can win and you won't perish.
Okay, so let's go back to when you were an actuary looking at your own shoes. You couldn't even be an accountant looking at someone else's shoes. What was that catalyst? What was that shift in you like that said, not only stop looking at shoes, like look in the eyes, look above, like look ahead. What was that catalyst for you?
So is the question, why did I move from actuary to money manager, or what it was I interested
No, I'm
in
just saying
speaking?
you had to have a huge shift to leave actuary to become money man. Like we're just doing one shift. We're not doing all the shifts in one go. We're
So yes, I knew that my passion at the time in the 1990s, and I still have a passion for investing. I still love the game of investing and trying to beat the market and helping my clients beat the market and teach them my 5-step proprietary stock screen. So it was, yes, I was taking a risk. In fact, when I was working as an actuary, I was 27 years old. I was making 110,000 US dollars, which is equivalent to $440,000 US dollars today at 27. And I decided that it wasn't my passion, it wasn't my purpose. I really disliked getting up in the morning, and I wanted to love getting up in the morning. And so I took a pay cut to follow that guy's path towards becoming a money manager. So I became a credit analyst and took a 30% pay cut to get another job, to get the experience, to go get that experience so that I could get more experience, so I could get more experience, so I could be in line for being a money manager. Because I needed to either have the experience. I also became a chartered financial analyst, a CFA, as well, in order to become a money manager. So
so from
did
what
that
I'm
answer your
hearing,
question?
and I want people who are listening to this was if you had stayed an actuary, you might not have made it to this age because you were not happy. You didn't want to get out of bed. And this plays to a whole different ball game of the whole what is your mental health? What how right? Like how can you come home to a family, single or not, like or single family, whatever, if you don't even want to get out of bed to go to the job. Right.
Yeah, mental health is so critical. Yeah,
It's really important to um for people listening to, we both say the same thing, but in slightly different ways, of align to who you are meant to be, because only you can be you.
right.
Right.
And
So if
that
you
was the
had
same. Yeah,
stayed the actuary, that wasn't you. It was like, okay, you could do it, but it wasn't you. And yeah, you could do the fun stuff of the fund manager, but it wasn't you. It was you for fun.
right,
And I'm sure Saturday mornings you still dabble and have a gay old time, right? But now you've aligned to your purpose through a authentic, weird way. But we all have our path. We go straight, we go zigzag, we do circles, whatever. We all have our path. But authentically, you are now doing what that 9-year-old wanted to do.
correct.
And so that brings me to the point of two, of anyone who's searching, is this the right field for me? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Go talk to that inner child. What were those dreams? Right? Because if I look back, I was always the teacher.
Mm. Yeah,
It took me a while to step up into that role. Right? And now it's
yeah,
like, well, of course you're the teacher. You've always been the teacher. But I was denying it because I had such esteem for the teachers in my life, and I had some disdain for some of my other teachers. That how could you be a teacher? You hate kids, right? Because they picked a career rather than a following or a
right.
calling,
Yes,
right? And so that's what I like about this conversation is that you have your fun stuff, but you're following your calling because you want everyone to be able to follow their calling. And if it's the beliefs in the money system or in their mindset that they can't reach certain goals, well, let's shatter the beliefs.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason why I shut down my hedge fund to become a prosperity coach is the same thing. I realized that I wasn't doing my purpose. And I had achieved that dream once, and now I realized this is my dream for the next 50 years, right? And so do and serve others and help and teach others the truth about money rather than, and I've been to a number of these types of seminars after I went to that one on purpose to see how other people are, like, if he's the only one, but there are a lot of people out there saying real estate's the only way to become rich, and then they teach and so what I teach, to be clear, is I believe there are many ways to become rich. And so if you're interested in stocks, I'll teach you stocks. If you're interested in options, I'll teach you options. If you're interested in real estate, I'll teach you real estate. I also teach business owners how to grow their business, how to change their money mindset around their business, and then, grow it so that they're can become financially free through their own business. Right. And so
Well,
I say there's many ways to become rich. And if you're excited about stocks, learn that. But if you have no interest, then you, like, I literally had a guy tell me last year, stock market's rigged, Joel. I said, okay, well, like, I'm not going to try to change that limiting belief around stocks. Let's go elsewhere.
but
You
even if
know,
it's rigged, you can still rig it for your benefit. Like,
well, he
under,
didn't mean that.
I
He meant,
understand. I understand, but I'm saying it's like I don't care if it's rigged. I don't care if it's not rigged. I don't care. I know that if I watch something long enough, I'll figure out the highs and lows, the ins and outs, and go, this is my comfort box. Perfect.
right. But the point being is belief again. If he believes that he's going to lose money in the stock market if he
Oh,
puts any money in.
absolutely.
So then I'm like, I'm not going to try to sway you on investing. I want you to find something that you're excited about, interested in. It could be your business. It could be another investment like real estate. And
Yeah.
we go there and teach you that. And that's what I think is important, to get the point that I'm not like, you got to do it this way, because that doesn't work either.
Well, so I know with my own self, like working with business owners, how many of them have no idea about their financials? That's Sally's job.
Yeah.
Well, Sally's sick. She can't run your reports. Do you even know how to run your reports? Do you even know what your reports are saying? So that's where it's like, so you want to be a business owner, but you don't want to know where you financially are. It's like, don't they
Yeah,
go
I
hand
actually
in
would,
hand?
right. I literally was on a call last week networking with this guy who I was just networking, and maybe he thought I was trying to sell him. And he said to me, Joel, I am not the money guy. I have an accountant. I have a financial advisor. I let them do all of it. Like, I know nothing about that stuff, and I have no interest in learning about any of that stuff. And I was like, I'm networking. I'm not trying to coach you on, but that's not serving him. That's not going to be good for his business long term.
Yeah.
Right. And if he has that limiting belief that, I'm not good with money, or like in my last book, Infinite Love and Money, we created 7 money personality types. So his money personality type is the U, unconscious. He's the ostrich. He's got his head in the sand.
Hmm.
He doesn't want to know. There's this fear. It's a fear-based personality type around money,
Hmm.
right? It's like, if you have your head in the sand, you don't want to know. And I'd rather have the person knowing and have the abundant, prosperous mindset.
Well, and um, I'm I'm to the fault the other way, right? So I'm at the point of like, okay, I really should hire some people. I don't need to do it all myself. But then I'm like, I gotta know how to do everything. That's fine when I'm ready, when I find the right person to hand it over, I'll hand it over. But if they don't show up to work one day, I gotta know what they're doing.
Right.
So I have to
Right.
step in, right?
Right.
So it's no point hiring somebody to say, do your accounts payables if you don't know how to pay people, right? Because that means your supplier's not sending stuff
Right.
because you haven't paid them.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, so it works both ways. It can be a detriment and can be help. Like you got to know where you are at. And um, yeah. And I also know, like, I mean, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are ostriches, which is
Yes.
really sad, but they're phenomenal at what they do.
Correct. But it's important, in the 9 money rules, rule number 7 is, where's my cash going?
Hmm.
And I think it's real important as a business owner that it was written for, individuals, retail investors, retail people, not businesses. But it's also important for business owners to know, where's my cash going? And in the last book, Infinite Love of Money, the quote is, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Yeah.
So if you don't know your cash flows and you're relying on your accountant, or, oh, they'll take care of it, they'll take care of it. Well, I think it's important to know, and at least have the knowledge first, and then delegate, like you say, like do it yourself and then delegate it to others, that you can step in if, they're out or
Well,
sick or leave the company.
but even bring it down to personal, right? If you don't know where your household budget is and you are paying your credit card off wrong, but I paid it off last month, but you didn't pay it off in the window that they give you the 10 days to pay it off in, you still got charged interest. You add that up over a couple years, you had a really nice holiday that you
Right,
paid to
exactly.
interest.
Yeah.
And people are like, I didn't get that. Like even if we got these young people to understand the basics, balance your monthly spend to what you expenses, know how much money you're at any time, right? And I remember when we went to digital paychecks, they said the bank started making the most money ever on
Yeah.
overdraft, on missed payments, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right?
Yeah,
And
because
it
no
was
one's keeping
funny.
track.
Well, but it was not funny, but I remember Rosie O'Donnell saying her dad did the best he could raising them after his mom died. But she said she had no idea if you had to fill the wall with money to keep getting it out. She just went and got it out. She didn't know someone had to fill it, right? So her dad's
Yes.
filling it so she could go and get stuff for her and her siblings, but no one told her that he was filling it.
Right. Right.
And so she
Yeah, it's
said
fun.
it was like the biggest aha moment that she ever had because she was like, I didn't know the wall just didn't keep giving you money. Right? Like, I mean, we're laughing at it, but you think about it, like back in that time, it was so new. You didn't understand it. Half the people didn't use it, right?
Right.
You know, and I mean, I'm sure back then, you know, mattresses were still being used instead of banks, right?
Yeah, it's the other, so we talk about in Infinite Love and Money, the protectionist. That's the protectionist type, the people who put the money under their mattress. They're like this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we talked about money is energy. So like this is not allowing flow. If you're a protectionist and oh, that's good, right? Just protect your money, put it under the mattress, put it in the bank, save it. Well, that's not allowing flow. And the only way the money comes back to you is putting money out into the world, giving, spending, and investing.
Well, and then I think of it energetically of everyone who has touched that money and you want to sleep on all that energy.
Right,
No,
right.
you're not having a very good sleep, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, because you're picking up on all the energy of every person that money's ever gone through. Like,
Good point.
right?
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because I remember Americans coming up to Canada going, you guys have monopoly money. I go, but at least we can tell them apart. We know we're
Right.
giving a 10 and not a 20. Like, and we know that the value isn't as high as yours sometimes, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's all green and it just has different presidents on it. But yeah. It was fun going to Switzerland. I lived in Switzerland for a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
and they have purple and blue money
That's
and
like ours. Yeah. Ours is blue and pink and purple and every other color. And now we have coins. And it's really funny. So when our dollars and $2 went to coin, um, it was amazing how much money people were saving, especially
mm,
men, right? Because I'm not carrying all this change around. They'd leave it on their dresser. Their wives would come and put it in a jar, right? And then it'd be like, let's go on a holiday. We have any money? Yes, we do. Right? Like you'd have five, 600 bucks depending on the jar, right? You know, and so that's a little getaway out of town, couple
right.
hotel nights, right? Like,
Nice.
so, and I even think back to my serving days of, collecting the cash. All the heads have to face the same way, or
Mm,
it didn't work. It's the flow. If the heads are all
right,
twisted,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And people are like, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And I thought it was my
Yes.
idiosyncrasy. And then I thought other servers were the same way. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's a serving thing. And then it's like, no, it's a flow thing, right?
Yes. Being in flow is quite important. So having, knowing that money is energy and that you need to be in flow or you would like to be in flow at all times.
So
It's-
in your bio, you're talking about working with the young people of America. How are they different to how we were at that age?
Yes, it's a good question. So yeah, I have a charity, SaLaurMor Charitable Giving. So I teach financial literacy to kids and I've spoken at in the US, the Girl Scouts of America and the Boy Scouts and the Boys and Girls Clubs in Connecticut. And I think what's really interesting is to teach them about business and the concepts of budgeting and cash flow and running a business like we talked about earlier. And so they were quite interested and excited about learning. And I asked them, dream job, dream business, you could do anything. And the kids would choose, like one girl chose owning a shoe store. She loves shoes. So like, I want to be a shoe store owner. So let's do the economics on that. Let's figure out if you own one shoe store and you're working there, and how many workers would you have, and the marketing and the inventory and going through it all, and how much money could you make at one shoe store, depending on how many shoes how big the store is and so on. And then somebody else said, I want to be a plumber. He said, I've always wanted to be a plumber. I was like, great, let's figure out what the economics of, being a plumber, solopreneur as a plumber, or maybe you want to hire and have other plumbers. And so like they got really excited and interested in learning about business because that was their dream. They were interested in learning about their business, their dream, and the economics of it, and they were really interested. And so like I think it's important to get people interested and excited about whatever they're learning. I think that's really important.
Do you
And
think they have a better understanding of money now, or did we have a better
yes,
understanding? They do?
well, well, after being taught by me, they did, but I would say no. I mean, nowadays, like I go out of my way to teach my daughters by example, and I think generally there's a lot more options these days than there were 30, 40 years ago, at least definitely here in the States, right? The payment options, there weren't all these different credit cards, debit cards, payment options online, PayPal and Stripe and
But I
all
think
these
it's
other
making
options.
people broke.
I think it's just it's more complicated.
Yeah.
And so and debit versus credit. It was really interesting. I have a story in Infinite Love and Money. We have a chapter in there called Your Kid's Money. And it was probably about 4 years ago. My youngest daughter was 14 and she had a bank account, and we just like transferred it over. So she had a debit card. She
Yeah.
got her first debit card, and we were away, and she wanted to buy a sweatshirt, and I had told her that over a certain amount, we'll either split it or you're going to buy it yourself. And so she said, I still want it, and I'm going to buy it. And so she gave them her debit card. And then she went on her phone a few minutes later after we left the store and said, Hey, Dad, look, the money's already out of the account. Look at that, how cool that is. And I said, Morgan, that's not a good thing. The money's gone. It was a perfect teaching example of credit versus debit,
Yeah.
and how like if you use the credit card, you have a month to actually pay that. You have 30 days, and you actually could use that money and invest it for 30 days. Maybe you find a stock that doubles in the month and you make $100, and then you can pay that credit card off, plus, before incurring any interest or any charges or anything. So that was a good way to teach her credit versus debit. But yeah, we didn't have all these different cards and examples 40 years ago. So there's a lot more
Well, but
options.
then on
And
the other hand, like I said, when university grads are coming out as finance majors and they don't know how to pay their credit card off in the 10-day window, you're like, really? Come on. And then I've seen parents say, I don't know why they have to learn life skills to graduate. And I said, because you're not teaching them.
yes,
Why don't you teach them? Oh, forgot, because you don't know them. Right. And
right.
then like, yeah, and so I understand the credit debit thing, and it's like, but I think now, I mean, well, what option do you take? What option card do you use? What, like, there's so much out there. And I mean, kids are like coming out of high school and they're getting like 10, 12 credit cards thrown at them. Like, we'll give you $500 credit. We'll give you $1,000 credit. And they think, oh, it's free money. No, it's not. Right. And so it's like, I look at it as, yeah, it's great that you're able to help your daughter, but there's so many parents that don't even know how to help them,
Yeah.
right? And my thing is, yeah, teach them young, right? Know the value of money, right?
Yeah,
Because
there's a
I
great,
knew some single moms that were borrowing from their kids' piggy bank because,
yes,
like they just, it wasn't overspending. They just didn't, they ran out of money at the end of the month.
yes, there's a great game I played with my daughters when they were teenagers called the cash flow game.
Yeah, I love that.
And it's Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it's a great game to teach about cash flow. And it's not about working for a company, but what's your cash flow? And if
Yeah,
if you can buy assets like land or real estate or stocks or bonds that are generating cash every month, and you can cover your expenses, then you're financially free. And so like my youngest daughter Morgan, so my company name SaLaurMor is named after my daughters Lauren and Morgan. So Morgan picked up, she's very smart and picked it up really quick. And she's like, just buying assets, just buying assets, just buying assets. And so smart. And she's like, my expenses are covered. Game's over.
yeah. Well, and it was funny because when I play the game, like I end up with all the kids that need dental and break things, right? Yet I still come out of the rat race with, 450,000. Like I'm good, right? And yeah, like even though I had all the family emergencies, I'm good. And it's funny that you brought that book up because that book is based on Keith Cunningham's life, right? And I remember Keith coming to Calgary one day and he was doing a seminar and we got talking at the lunch and I was like, "Have you ever read The Artist's Way?" And he says, "Why would I read that?" I go, "Because I think that's where you are right now." And he goes, "Meaning?" And I said, "Every chapter helps you get a little insight into you." He goes, "Okay." So fast forward 10 years. I'm at an event in Las Vegas. He's one of the speakers. I go up and say hi. I haven't seen you since Calgary. And he looked at me and his wife hit him, like tapped him. And he looked at her and then looked back at me. And they both went, "You're the one that gave us the artist way." And I go, "I am." And they said, "Thank you." Right. Because it was just something they were going through, right? That I'm like, I
Yeah,
think this book will help. Yeah.
nice.
And And so that's where like your book, any other book, like there's so much knowledge out there. And I personally listen to a lot of podcasts because I'm always got something going on. And everything I listen to, everything I read with a grain of salt. This might be true for the writer. Does it ring true for me and where I am in my circumstance? Right.
Yeah,
And I also, before I open a book, say, let me get at least one nugget of gold.
yes.
I don't know what the nugget of gold is, but I'll go, oh, perfect nugget of gold. Right. And so then the book was worth reading because I got one nugget. And if I get 10, even better. Then I share the book. Right. So,
So I think I told you I read a book a week and I do notes on each book that I read each week. And so anyone who is on my weekly email gets my SaLaurMor notes for the book I read that week.
yeah. Oh, I made it through high school because of Cold's notes. There's always two questions on every test that wasn't in the Cole's notes. And I go, whatever. I don't have time to read the book. Right? We got to do what we got to do, and
Yep.
it's okay. It's okay. So, if you had to sum up our conversation or conversations, what are those nuggets of gold that you want people to take away from this conversation?
First of all, hashtag doubt the doubt.
Okay.
Have faith in your dreams. Don't have faith in your doubt. You can achieve whatever you believe within reason, if you believe it. And so why are you having faith in your doubt? Have faith in the dream. So that would be one thing. Again, the second is the mindset. You know, really questioning your mindset and also checking your actions. So actions are a tell on what your beliefs are. And your beliefs are just thoughts that you keep on thinking over and over again. So what actions are you taking on a daily basis? Are they, if you really check your actions, are they based on fear or faith, limiting beliefs or empowering beliefs? I had a client who came to me with poverty consciousness. He learned from his dad that you should take a piece of wood and put it at the end of the toothpaste and roll the toothpaste around that piece of wood so you don't miss a drop of toothpaste. And he was doing this into his 50s. And I said, John, why are you doing this? Well, I don't want to waste
every
toothpaste.
drop out.
Right. I said, well, you know, you're making 500,000 US dollars a year. You don't need to worry about that drop of toothpaste. Are you saving 10 cents, a dollar? I mean, this is the epitome of lack and scarcity thinking. And so if you have abundance and prosperity thinking, you know that there's an infinite amount of abundance on this earth. And so one of the things I have my clients do is check their actions all day, every day. Do it for a week and see what actions are a tell on your actual beliefs and thoughts, and are they serving you or not?
Well, and it's interesting about that whole toothpaste thing because now, like, I think I make it myself a challenge. I'm not leaving anything in it because I can get it out.
But again, is
But
it
then,
scarcity thinking or
no,
abundance thinking?
well, I've never thought of it as scarcity. It's more of like these packagings are becoming so stupid. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get every drop out. I don't
but if there's a,
I don't roll it in right. Like I just go like, you know, at the near the end I'll take my thumb and go get the last drop out and then check it. Like yeah, like I don't think it's scarcity, but it's also in a way it's like because I understand manufacturing and stuff. It's like why are they making it so stupid that you can't get everything out? Right? I don't know.
yeah, but
It's just like the
if
shampoo bottle. You always dump it upside down to get the last drop out.
no, I don't.
Well, I don't want it going
That,
into the
again,
landfill.
well, what I hear that point of view, but again, what are the actions implying there's an infinite amount of abundance on this earth, or the actions applying that there's lack and scarcity and there's not enough to go around? And so I would question your actions
For me,
on
it's the
each thing you're
landfill.
doing.
Yeah, to me, that's the whole like people say, well, just get off at Amazon. And I'm like, do not tell me to order off of Amazon. Why? Because the 10 things you send back with when you kept two, they're going to landfills. They're not restocking. So I'm not a fan of Amazon, but that's just I'm a landfill person. I don't like
Understand?
yeah, like I want to save our world. Yeah. Hence
Well,
I
I
would
do too, and again, it's a perspective.
mhm.
So
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like I look at it all and I go, hmm. So maybe in 3 days I might text you going, okay, maybe it's mindset scarcity. I don't think so, but I don't know. I'll let it sit for a bit. So, um, anyways, obviously you know what you're talking about. Obviously you're living your dream. You're following your own steps. You're having your own prosperity. So if people want to join you, they get a hold of you. They
yeah, you
master.
can, everybody can, I give 30 minutes free of prosperity coaching, no obligation to do anything more. Things have shifted in 30 minutes. I've literally had people manifest $10,000 after working with me for 30 minutes, 10,000 US dollars. And But no, yeah, so you can sign up for your free prosperity coaching at SaLaurMor.com, SaLaurMor.com. I have online courses. On October 1st, I'm teaching my next 9-week course based on the 9 money rules millionaires use. I do it with a yoga and meditation teacher, Chara Rodriguera. And Chara and I teach that 9-week course for $99. So we basically give it away because we want people to be able to get the rules, get access to us in an easy way, so they can change their mindset and become financially free quicker.
Very cool. And I will have everything in the notes.
Great.
So I want to thank you for being a guest on Authentic Conversations. I'm your host, Adele Bernard from Transition Clarity. Wow. Episode 38. Did you get any nuggets of gold from Joel? Um, like he said, he has 30 minutes free, which I think everyone should use. Also has a new program coming up in October. This might already, the course might have started by the time this is live. We're not sure. But anyway, see if you can get in or check his next course out with him and Tara. And where are your money hangups? Are you in scarcity? Or are you the ostrich hiding? Um, he gave us food for thought for sure. And we all have to follow our light. Whatever our light is, no one else can do it but us. If I can get anything out in this Authentic Conversations podcast, is only we, our individual self, can shine our light for the world as we need to step up and move forward. So I look forward to the next episode that you join us. Please subscribe, like, comment, and until then, bye for now.